From the people that brought you Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny comes a new Indiana Jones adventure, Indiana Jones and the Catheter of Crisis, coming this summer, lining up with Harrison Ford's 90th birthday.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick!
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks!
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Marathon Me with your hosts Rhys
and Kane.
And we're here with the most recent installment of the Indiana Jones franchise. The one that got us talking about it again and got everyone talking about Indiana Jones. It's the first modern, it's the most modern 2023 release, The Dial of Destiny. And it is also the Dial of Disney, because it's the first Disney indie movie to have been made. And
it's also the first indie film to not have Spielberg behind the director's chair as well.
You're very right. It's directed by James Mangold, who is the director of Logan, Ford v Ferrari, and Girl Interrupted. So weird, right? To have an indie flick not by Spielberg. What world are we living in?
Yeah, honestly. Not the worst director choice, because, I do really like James Mangold's films. I'm a big fan of Logan. I love his Johnny Cash biopic, Walk the Line. So, it's not the worst decision of a director. I never really got much of a Spielberg flair from his previous work, but hey, maybe the executives at Disney saw something in those films that I didn't, and they were like, yep, this is the man for the job. This is who we need to carry on the legacy of Spielberg.
But back in the day, we both watched Logan together, right? And we were pretty wowed by it. I do really love that film. But also, it's not it's not really the directorial style that really, gets me excited about Logan. It's more like the writing of that film. And also
the writing and the performances.
Yeah, and the performances definitely. So this one, I didn't really know what to expect from this new Disney indie. But you can definitely tell that it's a Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
It reeks of family friendliness, and that may be seen as a good thing to some people, a bit of a wider audience out there that can consume it easily. But for me, it feels like one of the biggest sort of draws of Indiana Jones is that it isn't afraid to get a bit grim and go a bit raw and spooky,
Yeah. The previous films had an edge to them, the originals especially, and hell, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It had a bit of a dark edge to it that this film really lacks, honestly, with the Disneyification of it all,
Yeah, definitely. And just as full disclosure as well, I reckon that this will be a spoiler podcast. So, big spoiler warning right here. We'll give you a little bit of time to switch off if you haven't seen the movie yet, to have a bit of a look or a bit of a listen to the trailer.
In 213 BC,
Archimedes sculpted a dial
that could change the course of history.
With this, we will have our victory.
it's not yours. You stole it.
Then you stole it.
And then I stole it.
Get back.
We've got to get there first.
I can't do that!
You want to stop for a little lie down?
Turn left! Turn left! Indy, listen to me, no!
I ain't no Ken's here.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Rated PG-13. Only in theaters June 30th. Tickets on sale now.
So, Kane, we have not discussed this movie much, like, at all, even though that we have...
No, we have not.
We've both recently seen this in very, very different sort of circumstances and on different sides of the world. Well, different sides of Australia.
Of the world, yeah. So Sydney and Melbourne, they're both on the far ends of the far corners of the globe.
It feels like that we're in different places around the world, you know. There's a whole world between us, Kane. Yeah,
I know, insane.
But for this hour that we record, there's only a microphone. Oh, how beautiful. Anyway, Kane, what did you think of The Dial of Destiny?
I'll be honest. So, I had no hype for this movie whatsoever, really. Like, I saw, when it was announced, I didn't even know this film was announced until, like, maybe a couple months before it even came out. Like, maybe, like, 3 odd months or some shit. And I saw the first trailer, I was like, it looks like nothing. It looks like just Disney slop. And the most memorable part about this movie is the fact that it actually exists. Because I'd been hearing about Indiana Jones 5 since 2011, I think. Like, you know, me and my mates would be like, oh, yo, when are they making Indiana Jones 5? Oh my god, when's that coming out? Like, it was always, like, a thing that I would think about ever since I was in primary school. And now, we finally have it. And I'm sad to say that the most memorable part about this movie is the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't hate it, and I feel like I've seen it on the internet, a lot of people are calling this like a dumpster fire, and in some ways, people could argue that, whatever, that's fine. I got really nothing out of this movie, honestly. Apart from a couple things, I really got nothing out of this.
I've got to say the same thing. In my notes, I have written down here that it is a nothing movie. It just is. It left me very cold, and it really, to me, expresses all of the things that I've heard for more than a decade that people hate so much about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But you are not hearing people saying nearly as much, like, as aggressively bad things about this one than than Skull, right? And
oh, dude, I've been seeing quite a few like YouTube movie reviewers be like, "This is a dumpster fire. This is a Disney feminist piece of trash and all that."
What?
And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, guys, calm down. It's not good, but it's not that bad. Like, come on. It's just a fucking nothing film. Like, come on.
Yeah, it very, very much is. It feels hollow, right?
Yes, and it feels corporate. It feels corporate.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I have seen this film actually twice so far in two very, very different opposing experiences. Because the first time that I got to see it, I saw it at the Australian premiere at the Sydney Film Festival that I was lucky enough to go to because I was like volunteering for it this year. And
lucky man.
And then I watched it the other day in correlation with the rest of our marathon in something called 4DX. Dude, have I told you much about 4DX and what that is?
You told me a brief bit because you told me that it was basically like because like at Hoyt's, we have like something similar where we have like D-Box, which is basically just like, you know, like 4D cinema experience where all it does is really let your chair rocks back and forth and all that. And I remember I was telling Rhys about the fact that like I've been in there once ago, like I think I went there for my 19th birthday to go watch Terminator Dark Fate, and like it was a cute little experience. I wouldn't really do it again, but you know, it was fine. And then I remember what's so different about 4DX, Rhys? Tell me about that, because you told me it was pretty different compared to the ones that they have at Hoyt's.
Because I did some research. I was looking at watching this in D-Box initially, but apparently D-Box, all it is just a chair that rocks back and forth, moves in motion with the film. But that ain't nothing in comparison to 4DX. 4DX has that, as well as water that sprays you at different scenes. It has bursts of air that like come out from like near your ears whenever gunshots play out. There's like big like flashbangs in the cinema when there's thunder and lightning. And
Jesus.
Yeah, it is apparently too. I heard that there was smell-o-vision as well. I could not detect the smell-o-vision though. There may have been, but maybe my nose is not good enough for that. But
maybe.
Oh my god, the comparison of experiences that I had with both of these viewings were pretty much antithetical to one another, because the Sydney Film Festival closing night was a 2,000-seat theatre packed to the brim with film festival goers. So it was extremely respectful, everyone trying to get every little bit that they possibly can out of this film, versus seeing it in 4DX, which overall was a 2.5-hour roller coaster ride. Like, holy shit.
I can imagine, yeah.
When Martin Scorsese said the Marvel movies are theme park rides, I think that he was talking about Indiana Jones in 4DX, because, whoa, it was just nuts, man.
Were audience members, like, screaming and waving their arms in the air, like on an actual roller coaster?
Man, if I had a lower center of gravity, if I had a lower center of gravity, I could have been flown off one of those chairs easily. Like, there is...
Oh, yeah?
It was intense, and
Jesus,
and also so fucking funny for the how gratuitous some of the motion jolts are, because when Indiana Jones is established in this movie, he slams a cup down on a table, and when he does that, the seat jolts.
Oh no! Oh man, they really gotta make you invested in the movie. If they didn't have the chair rock with that cup slamming down, immersion broken.
Yeah, you can really feel it. So and that whole, even without that experience though of 4DX, getting water sprayed in my face and all these different things, the whole movie does just feel a bit like a roller coaster ride. I've got to side with Martin Scorsese on this one, because there's nothing that filmy about this film.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that this film, it feels very it felt like it was assembled on a conveyor belt, kind of like a lot of Disney projects that have been made over the last couple of years, you know, the later Star Wars movies and the later MCU films. You get a good director behind it, but there's no vision, there's no passion behind what I'm seeing on the screen. It's just very I said it earlier, it feels very corporate made, you know?
It feels almost like an AI wrote this, right? It's so functional that it is an Indiana Jones movie, but it is nothing more than that. It is, that is the only thing about it, is that it belongs to this franchise.
Even down to the whole... emulation of time period, the first three 1930s, you know, they're emulating that adventure serial, the fourth one being the Red Scare and 50s B movies. This one takes place in 1969, and the only reason we know this is because they, you know, a set piece takes place during the astronauts coming back from the moon, from the first moon landing.
Moon Day.
Apart from that, this film could have honestly been set in modern day.
It could have. You're right. Yeah.
There's no real indication of what time of it being set in the late 60s. Apart from the talk about the moon landing and the opening having a Beatles song play. Apart from that, it feels just it could have been in modern day and it wouldn't have been different. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what's going on? What is this emulating exactly? I don't get it. I don't get what. I'm serious. I don't get. What are they trying to go for in terms of emulation? Are they trying to emulate the space race? Are they they could have done a lot of things with this stuff. They could have done something to do with the space race, or even the Vietnam War. Because
yeah, I know, right?
This is 1969, and there's no reference to Vietnam in this movie. You could have done something interesting with that.
Yeah, you do have one scene of there being protesters in the streets on Moon Day that are protesting the Vietnam War, but that is it. The main bad guys are just Nazis again. But it doesn't make a lot of sense here, right? The only continuation and thread from the time period to Nazis is that it's an Indiana Jones movie, and Indiana Jones movies literally are have Nazis in them traditionally. So then that's the only reason why.
Yeah, you know how you have a bit of complaints about part 3 kind of feeling a bit in some ways kind of redoing like stuff from Raiders. That's the problem that I have with this one. Like, you know, they're just like, oh, let's bring back Nazis because like that was the big bad in Raiders and all that. So let's just bring that back this time around when like it doesn't even make a lick of sense this time around. Like, honestly, it would have made more sense to continue that the villains being Russian, honestly, because this is still like in, you know, during like tensions between Russia and the US. It would have made a lot of sense, but instead they're like, no, let's just bring back Nazis. Why not? Just because we can.
That is such a good point, especially with having the backdrop of Moon Day. Like, why not have especially like that all of these Indiana Jones movies are about a race, right? It's like Indy racing the bad guys to something, to get there first. And the moon race, the space race, is all about the Russians and the US racing one another to get something that is fairly on the surface. Like, it's just a symbol for something greater, but in itself is not really much. Like bragging rights almost. Which is what
literally
all of these movies are. Why did they not take advantage of that? That's so silly.
No.
Like,
literally just probably because the space race would have been too complicated and too morally grey to talk about for this new Disney-fied Indiana Jones movie. No, we're gonna have Nazis because everyone hates Nazis. Like, there's no moral ambiguity with them. Like, they're clear black.
Oh my god,
there's black and white with these guys.
Imagine if it is because of the Ukraine-Russian war that's going on right now.
Shit.
And it's like Disney deciding to not have it Russian related just because of the safety of it, and just because of the let's cover our asses and not piss off Russia. Maybe it's that, and maybe it's for like Russian markets as well. Like they're not going to let it in there if or even like potentially any other countries that are siding with Russia might not like support this film. Then maybe that's it.
Yeah, true.
Did we just
that might be the case? Honestly,
did we just reveal and like figure out why this movie is not that good?
We know your secrets, Disney. We know your agendas. Like, you just want to market towards those Russian aligned countries. Like, we see where you're going with this.
The only thing that I like about the Nazis in this, as in like about their inclusion, not liking the Nazis, is that opening scene. That opening scene is fantastic.
The de-aging, I will admit, like, it is kind of wonky, but like, look, de-aging in any movie is going to be wonky, TBH, unless like you are really pulling out all the stops with it. Like, I can't really think of examples of where de-aging looks almost seamless in a film. I guess like slight touch-ups, like Better Call Saul has like slight touch-up de-aging with like Giancarlo Esposito and with like, you know, him playing like Gus Fring and all. I nearly call him Saul Goodman. With him playing Gus Fring, they do like slight touch-ups with the de-aging. Like slight touch-ups, I think work really well when it comes to de-aging. When you're de-aging a person that is like half a century older than he's supposed to be in this time period. I was
just about to say that like
it's a lot more uncanny.
That Harrison Ford is 80 years old at the moment, and they are trying to de-age an 80-year-old actor to look like his 30-year-old self. And
and it's very weird, man. It's so weird.
And one thing that I heard someone say when analyzing The Irishman and their de-aging technology that I find very, very interesting is that and like also very accurate, is that no way, like, you can get the actual CGI de-aging of their face done perfectly, right? But one thing that you can't really CGI is just that a 30-year-old man moves and walks around very differently to an 80-year-old man.
True though.
And like a scene that they took out of The Irishman to explain this is that there's a scene where Robert De Niro is like kicking some dude on the ground, just stomping on him, and you can see just how it is such a struggle for Robert De Niro to be stomping down on this person, because for a very elderly man to be doing that, much more difficult than a 30-year-old stomping on someone. And you can definitely see a bit of that with just the way that good on Harrison Ford for his mobility at his age, but it cannot be compared to a 30-year-old's mobility, right?
It is very glaringly obvious. Apart from that, though, I will say that the opening sequence did give me a bit of hope in this movie being, like, memorable. Because it is a lot of fun. Like, you got the scene of... You get, like, the reveal... Like, when they reveal Indy and all that, like, yeah, the de-aging's a bit wonky, but, like, you know, that initial reveal of young Indy on the big screen... That got a smile out of me. I was like, okay, all right, I'm having fun. I'm liking this so far. Like, I was very happy seeing that. You know,
that whole like the train set piece. I loved it. I was in bliss during that scene.
Oh, yeah, no, that was fun. And like the scene of like him getting like hung and then like. Or like having to like take the noose off before like the stone gargoyle like drags him through the floor. Like that was fun. That was really cool. I'm like, yes, this could be really good. This is good. Disney's doing something. Disney's doing something right. Let's go. And then the rest of the movie happens.
Yeah, I like that they do establish Mads Mikkelsen very, very quickly on.
Yes. They give him a connection. Yes,
who
that's good.
Seems like Mads Mikkelsen seems like he was born to be an Indiana Jones villain, right?
Oh my lord, yes. Like. It's always it is always a good sign when like you have Mads Mikkelsen as a villain in a role. The only issue is that I was watching a video about Dial of Destiny, and they pointed out something very interesting that like Mads Mikkelsen has been in 3 Disney properties. He's been in this. He was the villain in Doctor Strange, and he was the father of the main character in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And in all those movies, there's not a lot to his character. Like, Doctor Strange was just a throwaway villain. He had barely any scenes in Rogue One. And while he has fun moments, it just kind of feels a bit hollow as a villain, I feel.
Oh, I agree. I honestly think that he is really underutilized in this. Like,
that's a big issue, man, honestly.
He is so monotone in almost all of his delivery, and I feel like he actually, like, on paper, he seems like he would be the perfect indie villain, but I feel like that they don't give him any quirks, or they literally, his character description is Mads Mikkelsen. That's what it feels like, literally. Right? It doesn't feel like that they give him anything. There's no, like passion? Yeah. There's no passion there. There's
no passion. He doesn't really have any, like, the only screen presence that's felt is that it's Mads Mikkelsen. The character has no screen presence, though. Like, he's just this, like, evil Nazi leader. That's it. Like, he has, like, his plan's kind of interesting that, I did kind of like his plan where he wants to go back in time, kill Hitler, and do things his own way to have Germany be successful. Like, that's an interesting concept, but the villain itself is just very... very bare bones, not a lot to him. Like, I agree, no quirks whatsoever. No, like, there's no, like, good, like, reflection of, like, him and Indy that, like, Belloc had. There's no, like, big, like, bombastic screen presence that Mola Ram had. Like, there's just nothing to him. And, like, he's also, like... yeah, he's not really in the film a lot, you know? Like, he's only in it bits and pieces. Like, a film that I can think of where he plays a great villain that he's also in very little of is in Casino Royale. He is in the film for the first, like, I think, hour. He's killed off pretty early, spoiler alert, for, like, I think a 20-year-old film. But the little screen presence that he has is great because he has quirks. He has a range of emotions. In this, he's very one note. And, like... I'm not blaming Mads Mikkelsen. I'm blaming the script and the direction because he's obviously not been given a lot to do, which is really disappointing.
He has nothing to do other than be Mads Mikkelsen. That like that is that is not even direction. That is go do your thing. My thing? Yeah, what is my thing supposed to be? You know, like the Mads Mikkelsen thing. Like that's what it feels like. And I have a lot of problems with a lot of the supporting cast in this. Like one person that is a great actress, a great creative force in contemporary media overall, Phoebe Waller Bridge has no right to be this boring in this. And like, I think that she gives it her all, but like she shows some emotion, but just they forgot to give her an arc in this movie. Like, they really do, right?
Yeah, agreed. Like, they like, I can see what they're trying to do, a whole like, oh, she only cares about the money, and then like as the film goes on, she cares about more than just the money. But it's not communicated well at all, and by the end, it feels like it's just kind of her, kind of like, you know, doing the stuff that she does for noble reasons comes out completely out of left field. Like, it just feels like, okay, it's just a snap decision. So it's like, all right, now she cares about more than just, you know, fortune and glory. Like, it just comes out of nowhere. There's no conversation that I remember about like her being like, maybe there's more to life than just selling stuff in the black market. No, it just comes out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't buy the relationship between her and Indy, because throughout the entire movie, she's just shitting on him, and he's just like shitting on her, like just like disapproving of her. I don't believe that, like, by the end of the film, they are friends and supposed family. Like, I don't buy that whatsoever.
I totally agree. It's just a little bit of like a I would have preferred if they brought Shia LaBeouf back, and then and they do something there. Like, it's like, you don't really feel a like surrogate daughter, surrogate father relationship dynamic between them.
No,
and
which is
and I think it comes from that there's no real sort of like intimate moments between them, and like I feel like that Phoebe Waller Bridge as a whole has no inner conflict moments, you know, like has no moments of vulnerability where it's like, okay, I'm truly human and I can identify with the human aspect of this story. No. I think that they forget. I truly think that they forget.
It's really disappointing, because like, we've seen in James Mangold films that he can do a good almost father-daughter dynamic with Logan.
Yeah.
How like that in Logan, that is incredibly done, and you believe that these two that, like, you know, that start off kind of hating each other, Logan and fucking X-23, they come together and that, you know, they see each other as surrogate family. With this, I don't believe it for a second. I do not believe that these two will end up liking each other and seeing themselves as family. No. Also, this is not a good introduction to Phoebe Waller-Bridge for me, because I haven't seen, because like, she is in Fleabag, yes? That's what she's known for? Yeah, never seen it. And this movie, not a good introduction to her, because her performance is very one note. And by one note, I mean that she is kind of really fucking annoying in this movie. Like, she is...
By one note, I mean I fucking hate her.
Look. Like, the thing is, a lot of people online are, you know, doing the whole, like, oh, Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, they're bringing in a female perspective because feminism, blah, 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 blah. The same bullshit that we heard in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. No, like, guys... just calm down, alright? Just because it's a female protagonist in the film does not mean that Disney has some hidden agenda, blah, blah, blah. Like Disney, terrible company, fuck Disney. But, like, I don't think that it just comes down to just like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy is a raging feminist and all that. I just think they just don't know how to write compelling female characters in these Disney movies. I don't, like, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if it's my place to talk about it, because, like, you know, I'm a guy and all that shit. But, like, you can write compelling female characters that stand toe-to-toe with their male counterparts. However, it's not done well in this, because she's really like, the one thing one thing I will sort of agree on is that, like, a lot of people say that she's really disrespectful towards Indy in this movie. I do agree, because she's always shitting on him and all that, and it's not even to the point where it's like, you know, playful banter and all that. It's just really fucking annoying. And I, to an extent, do agree that it's like, bro, they needed to reel it back a little bit and have some, you know, a human dynamic between the two, you know, some human moments, where instead of just like, witty MCU tier banter throughout the whole thing. Like, her whole character just feels like almost like a cartoon. She's very, like, quippy and always coming in with a sassy punchline and a joke. Very, very MCU-esque, which is really annoying. Like, a lot of people are bothered by the fact that, like, oh, a woman taken over. No, I'm bothered that the fact that every
characters taken over.
Exactly. Every movie, every, like, big blockbuster ever since Iron Man, they always need to do the big, quippy, witty banter shit. It's really fucking annoying. That's what bothers me about like a lot of Disney produced movies. Not because it's a female character, no, because the female character is written and directed and kind of acted poorly. That's my take.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Like, I think you nailed it with that. I had no idea that people were up in arms about the feminist nature of her character, and it's
please. This is
bullshit, man.
This is the modern film fans, man. A lot of them are going to bloody latch. Second a woman's on screen, feminism. This is feminism agenda bullshit. It's like, dude, calm down, man. Honestly. It's not always an agenda, people. Come on.
I know.
It's just sometimes people just don't know how to fucking write.
I know all too well about that exact thing that you're talking about, but I cannot say it too loud. Yeah.
I know you do, sir.
Yeah, and but it is what I think that is a coping mechanism for people not being able to figure out what they don't like about the movie. Because there are a lot of things wrong with this film, and feminism is not one of them, right? So
no.
And it's people looking for a scapegoat. That is the thing that's wrong with this movie. Take Phoebe Waller Bridge out of it, replace her with a less powerful, less central female character with less agency. It's not going to solve the fucking film. It won't. Like another character that I think is a sad excuse for a character that we've seen in the past is Teddy, the child.
Oh, dude, I forgot this cunt was in the movie. Oh my god.
This dude's performance is not that he is a terrible actor. I think it's just that he was directed in the wrong way and not framed. Like he's acting for what feels like a Disney Channel movie, and he acts like a Disney kid. You know,
he looks like a Disney kid,
and he looks like a Disney kid too. That is what it's for, and that is the way that he is used in this. And there's no rawness or humanity to him. And you don't buy the chemistry between him and Helena for a second, I think. That is
not at all.
That is the biggest crime of this character, I think, is that it's like that they didn't realize that the reason that Short Round is such a compelling character is because of his chemistry with Indy, and because you can feel their bond. Arguably, Helena and this kid Teddy are closer, and they're more involved in each other's lives. But you don't fucking see it. You don't feel it. Like, you can sense it by dialogue that they have history, but you don't feel a thing between them.
The movie is telling you these two love each other, not, and the audience is too stupid to know that these two love each other because we have history and all that. They literally have the same origin story as fucking Indy and Short Round, because Teddy tried pickpocketing Helena, and then she's like, "Hey, kid, you're all right. You stick with me," and all that. It's literally it's the same fucking origin
you're
as
right.
Short Round and Indy. And also, the fact is that throughout the movie, we have there are scenes of Helena and Teddy talking, but it's a lot about, but it's talking about the plot and do you trust Indy and all that. Not just little scenes of banter or just little non sequitur scenes just showing their relationship, like Indian Short Round, like the scene of them playing cards in Temple of Doom and then arguing about cheating when they're both cheating. That's a great character moment for their relationship. With this, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, could not agree more. And also there's so many things that are set up in this movie are so obviously set up with no fucking subtlety in the slightest. The second that we're introduced to Teddy and he's got this fake aeroplane controls in front of him, you're like, okay, he's gonna fly a plane eventually in the movie. And you know what he does? He flies a plane. Who would have known?
Why was he in the climax, man? He doesn't do shit in the climax.
Oh my god, he doesn't. He does. You're right. There's no point, and they get him there. Wow, I did not even think about that at the time. He's in a whole separate vehicle. It's not like he's even accidentally there. He travels back in time with these people, and there is no purpose for it. Oh, maybe
he's
the
only purpose that he's there for is to get them home.
I was just thinking, the plane. But still, that is no. So his actual character has no resolution. That I was saying that Helena, she has no arc. Teddy has no arc.
Teddy has nothing. He's just a generic kid character. That's it.
It is for kids to watch the movie and have a child character in there, right? Look, my favorite character is Teddy because he is also small like I am small. That is it.
What the hell is it with modern Disney and inserting kids into their movies? They did this with Thor Love and Thunder in the climax. They have the kids help Thor defeat Christian Bale. They had a bunch of little kids being all cute and all that in Guardians 3, and now they have a kid character in this being useless. What is with these new Disney movies and just having useless kid characters? You can have kid characters, just give them a fucking purpose and make them useful and not fucking cringe. You could argue that they were kind of useful in Thor Love and Thunder, but the scene was fucking cringe, bro. But what the fuck? What is going on?
It's because the decision is being made by a boardroom, right? They're like, what is our audience? Our audience are children. What do children like? Children like seeing other children. That is why Teddy is there.
Dude, I just had a spaz, bro. I just had a seizure because even MCU kid characters, Indy kid characters, fucking Star Wars was doing the same. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show, half the show was about 10-year-old Princess Leia. What is going on? What? I haven't even seen that show, but what the fuck is going on? Maybe it's just because maybe this is just my internal I
hate kids.
Dislike toward.
I don't want to be a dad. I'm afraid.
Yeah, maybe this is my jaded side coming out, being yeah, I don't like kids because I kind of don't. But maybe it's just because I'm envious of their youth. I'll steal their youth. I'm a fucking.
You're 22, mate. You're.
Motherfucker! I'll give anything to have the bliss, the lust for life that a 10-year-old has. I'm 22, but
you started full-time working a couple months ago.
A couple months ago, motherfucker, I've been working for a year and a half, mate.
Has it been a year and a half? Damn.
I know, right? Insane.
But I can't even. Yeah, that's nuts. Sorry.
You can't believe that I'm working, Rhys?
No, I can't believe how quickly time's gone. Maybe you're right. No. Maybe our youths have been stolen from us and we need them back. And the only way to do that is to steal it from other kids.
To be fair, we did have a year and a half taken away from us, our very early 20s taken away by COVID. That's crazy, man. I was unemployed when we first started this podcast.
Yeah,
fucking hell.
Anyway, sorry. A tangent on kids.
Yeah. Our hatred towards kids rant over, yeah.
Here's one little other random segue. Did you notice with this, with all the action sequences, that pretty much all of them, they all just feel like they're vehicle ones? There's not many on their feet sort of action sequences, it feels like. And and down to the point that, when they are on their feet, they're quite sort of, silly and uninvolved. And, I remember when the... we're going back a little bit, but when there's, the Moon Day Parade and there's that action set piece chase scene, that's probably the most on their feet action set piece in the film.
And that's probably the best action set piece in the film, bar the opening, honestly. Because I kind of did have fun with the city chase, but even then is I do agree. It's not on their feet and all that stuff. But it's fucking hell.
But one thing that I felt really silly about that is that at the start there was all this dramatic music and all it was is it was just Phoebe Waller Bridge running on the rooftop, and it was
so lame.
and there was this big dramatic sound cue for her jumping from one roof to the other roof, and it was this tiny little jump, and it was nah. It was just done so dramatically, and it was
bro, settle down, mate.
And it's what we're actually we're getting tricked right now into thinking that what we're watching is actually compelling, because it's not. It is just someone almost jogging, just having a little bit of a wander around on a rooftop, and it's making us think that it's really action-packed, where it is not at all.
Where all it is just mild parkour. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mind though. I liked like the really heavily CGI'd Harrison Ford on a horse chase. That's fun.
That part. That's what I was saying. Like that part, I enjoyed. Like the horse in the subway. That's cool. I haven't seen that before, so yeah, this is interesting.
The subway, horse on the subway, great thing.
Yeah, it was cool. I like that because that's different, and like it felt like there was at least a little bit of energy in there. Also, oh man, it's also really nice to see that our boy, fucking Quinn, I think his name was, from The Predator. He's back in another subpar entry in a popular franchise.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and
he's like the villain, right? Dude, like one of the villains.
Yeah, one of the side villains. Bro, I don't know what is it with this actor, Boyd Holbrook, but he played one... I've only seen him in one good performance. That was the villain in Logan. Everything else I've seen him in, he's been so one note. Like, I don't know what it is with this guy, but, like, he sucked in The Predator. He has no real charisma or screen presence in this movie. Hell, if anything, he's just doing a bootleg version of his character in Logan with down to the southern accent.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Also, speaking of villains, why in this group of Nazis is there a black woman in the Nazis? I'm not saying this is a race thing. Why do the Nazis have a black woman? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally get you. Like, what? That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like, this is not me being like, why is there a black woman in it? No. It doesn't make sense for this group to have her be with them. You know?
Yeah. I did not even realize. Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Like, oh my god, I really hope that doesn't get taken. I really hope that doesn't get taken out of context.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Why is there a black woman in Indiana Jones?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, god damn.
But no, I do totally get you.
Yeah.
There's. I think that the reason why there's very few sort of on the ground, like sort of foot chases or like action set pieces that aren't in vehicles is because like it would be to limit Harrison Ford having to do things, right?
Yeah. It's literally just because Harrison Ford's all decrepit, and hell, even during the action sequences, a lot of the time it's Helena like doing a lot of like the big stunt work and like fighting and all that.
Yeah. Also, like,
that's really it.
Like, when is the last time that we can confidently say that we've seen a big action movie, like a huge budgeted action movie with like an 80-year-old protagonist?
Can't say that I've seen that. Is this going to be a new trend now? You know how we had like back in the day, we had like the old people robbing banks subgenre of movies.
Oh, back in the day of 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, mate, fucking 5 years ago, mate. 2018 does feel like a long time
ago. It does. Pre-COVID world.
It's fucked up. But yeah, do you reckon we're just gonna get like we're gonna get a series of like films of like old people committing doing action movies and all
committing
that?
action movies.
Committing action.
I don't think that we will, because Dial of Destiny is apparently doing terribly in the box office, or like
so I've heard,
or just like not doing nearly as well as they thought it was going to make.
I kind of saw this coming because when I went to go watch this on opening day in Melbourne with Lawrence, and the theater was basically empty. So,
damn. Okay.
Yeah. It insane. Like I literally I was joking around with Lawrence, being like, yeah, like, you know, like, are there going to be little kids here? Nah, there won't be kids here, mate. No, like, kids these days, they don't care about Indiana Jones, which is sad, but it's kind of true. And then there was fuck all people there, which is kind of sad, but, you know, it's like, maybe this will teach Disney a lesson to not fucking milk franchises dry. But, you know, we know that won't be the case. We know they're going to resurrect Harrison Ford and have him be in Indiana Jones fucking 17.
I agree with you. I think that they're going to be CGIing his face far, far beyond Harrison Ford's death into subsequent Indiana Jones films. Did you notice that Indy uses his whip, like, I think once in this movie? Like,
yeah.
Like, that is it? Like, I don't know, I don't think he shoots anyone, does he?
No. Like, and also, we know he uses, and also there's no weight behind him using his whip, because it was like the fucking big climactic piece in the trailer.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
So when we see it in the film, it's like, who fucking cares? We already saw this. Like,
Do you still get baffled when trailer moments, like scenes or jokes, will play in movie theaters and then the audience still laughs or reacts? And you're like, what? All of you, I'm sure that you have seen this trailer and you've seen this scene coming up. What the fuck? How are you reacting to this still?
I think I don't know. I have no idea, man. Like for me, I try to like stay away from any kind of movie that like I have even a monicum of interest in. I stay away from the trailers because like I can't do them. I can't do them. They ruin it. They make the movie look like shit. So like, but then watching the trailer for this, I'm like, maybe it was just marketed poorly. I don't know. But like, yeah, watching this, there's so many moments that like from the trailer that people were laughing at. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Why?
I do have to say that I love trailers now in cinemas for the fact that I find them so funny because you're right, they will make a lot of like, especially Marvel and DC and like a lot of action movie trailers will make the movie look so shit. And,
oh my God,
and I will find it so funny and I'll be pissing myself laughing. Like, have you seen I think it's the Blue Beetle? The Blue Beetle trailer?
Oh my God, that looks terrible.
Oh, I didn't know that existed until it came up in a theater that I was watching a movie at, and I was in hysterics because it seemed like a fake trailer.
It's fucked. Like, I want to give an example. Did you watch the Killers of the Flower Moon trailer?
Oh yes, yeah.
Like, that is how you do a trailer right.
Yes. Okay. I thought that you were gonna offend my brand really quick.
No. I'm really hyped for that movie because that trailer was short. It was sweet. You don't know what's going on. It was dripping with atmosphere and tension in just like 1 minute, and that is how you do a trailer right. Meanwhile, with all these trailers, you need to like show off everything, all the set pieces, all the funniest jokes, make it all quirky and quippy for all the family to see. Like, hell, even fucking, like, Guardians 3. I liked the movie, but the trailer gave away way too much. It was way too quippy. It made the movie kind of look like a bit like, whatever, who cares? But, like, Jesus Christ, it's ridiculous how, like, just awfully marketed a lot of movies are nowadays, man. It's ridiculous.
You know what else is ridiculous? The time travel in this movie. So, I was very intrigued by the time travel aspect. I think that there was a lot of potential for that, especially I think in the realm of Indiana Jones, an archaeologist, someone who's like Indiana Jones's goal in life is to make sense of history, right? And time travel, giving him the possibility to go back and experience history, like I was honestly pretty hyped for that. And the moment that they do get riffed into the past, into the time of Archimedes. It was that was probably the most goosebumpy moment of the film for me. When you're like not sure where they are, and then it sort of reveals that they are like 200 BC. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment. But then it just seemed to get more and more ridiculous, and then didn't have the balls to give it any payoff. What did you think of this time travel aspect?
I was, again, also similar to you, very intrigued by the Nate, because, like, the Dial of Destiny is, like, a thing that can, like, change the course of history, so I knew going in that they were going to play around with time in some way, so when they actually were like, alright, we're going back in time, I'm like, okay, alright, let's see where this goes, and is it the stupidest thing that's happened in these movies? Probably, but look, they had aliens, they had, like, fucking, like, Hindu demons and all that shit. They had, the Indiana Jones movies have always been stupid. Time travel is just, like, the next stupid thing that they've included, so, like, whatever. And I do agree, like, it kind of makes sense thematically for Indiana Jones' profession, archaeologists and all that, studying history, making sense of it. And it is a neat novelty seeing, like, some of this stuff, like, a plane flying around during a fucking, like, ancient siege, and it's kind of fun in, like, a so bad it's good way, but I feel like it kind of just, like, after the novelty wears off, it just drags on so much. Like, I'm just, my eyes started glazing over 5 minutes in, and we're here for like 15, 20 minutes where I'm just like, all right, what's the point? What's the point of all this? And then at the end, we have kind of like something that could have worked where like Indy's like, I want to stay here. And while I was hating the idea of like them killing off Indy, you know, doing like this whole like, oh yeah, the hero's dying and all that, blah, 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 in a Legacy sequel, it would have been kind of interesting to have him in a different time period, like kind of, because he's always lived in the past, so now he's in a way finally home.
Yeah.
But then, and you know, and it could have had a really nice emotional moment between him and Helena, where she's begging him not to stay, but then eventually maybe is like, this is where, if he wants this is where he belongs, then that's okay. You know what they do? She punches him, and then it hard cuts to his apartment.
Man.
I remember turning to Lawrence, and I'm like, what the fuck? And even Lawrence was confused. He was just like, wow, that was abrupt. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, that is I was in disbelief. I was genuinely in disbelief. And then the movie's over 5 minutes later.
The moment, I want to just talk about this moment just before the punch happens, because that moment could have redeemed the entire film for me, I feel, because it was almost there. Like, you could see that there was this potential for a really, really emotionally dense moment for Indy and for Helena. Like, it just, I really, really thought that they were gonna like just really hit it home here. And there was just a level that they just did not get to, that they couldn't, that they did not pass this sort of the state of vulnerability where, like, if Harrison Ford maybe pushed it a little bit more, or like, I don't even want to blame the actors here, I really want to blame the direction, that if the director just pushed them to go a little bit more raw and a little bit more vulnerable, then you really could have seen the conflict and like desperation of him, because some of the best moments in this time travel scene are the close-ups of Indy, where you can see that he is just like almost in euphoric bliss, in this shock and euphoric bliss of that he is in the, especially as an 80-year-old man, in the places that he is his whole life studied. It is like such a beautiful thing on paper that they almost got to. They almost got my heartstrings and pulled on them, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that they could have and they should have left Indy there. I think they totally fucking should have, because Indy experiencing history is such a great concept, and living in history could have been a great way to go, and also could have been mirroring Back to the Future Part 3, like how
true. That's
one of the best trilogies ever, that is connected to Spielberg in the same sort of sentence as, like, people put Indiana Jones Back to the Future together all the time. We did, for fuck's sake. And and they didn't, and that is an ending that is so fitting for Doc Brown to stay in the past. But they had the opportunity to do this here, but didn't. Like, you know that this works and can be fitting and can add to a satisfying conclusion for someone at the end of their journey, and they didn't. They went with the easiest, most ham-fisted, unsatisfying reunion with Marion, which... Oh
my lord! Like, it's a waste. Like that whole ending sequence, as cool as it could have been, the wasted potential honestly makes me dislike this film even more. Like,
I was like, you're kidding me.
Like most of the film, I gotta say this. Most of the film is like pretty like is like worse than mid. Is like just like nothing, just like very just like conveyor belt bullshit. But then that last third, have like 5 minutes of like cool novelty and great potential to really pull at your heartstrings and have a nice fitting end to Indiana Jones, and also perfectly link back with, you know, our previous marathon Back to the Future. But no, they decide to just honestly, that wasted potential tanks the film even more. As we're talking about it, it's making me kind of hate this movie because of the wasted potential that it could have had. and had it gone the way that we would have loved to it have gone, we could have been maybe more kinder to this entry. But no, they do the bullshit by bringing in fucking Marion again and being like, oh yeah, remember this? And they reference like the where does it hurt? It's like, oh, on my elbow, on my forehead, and all that. Like they tried to like be like, hey, remember this scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark? Remember how romantic it was? Let's just do it again. So, what the fuck is this?
I really, like, I hated this scene so much the first time that I saw it. I was, like, I watched it with another volunteer named Tom, who I'm mates with now, that I was like, no fucking way. Like, I was like, why is this happening? But watching it a second time, I despised it. It was
I don't blame you.
It was worse, and it was so fucking cringe and so unearned.
It felt cheap. It was cheap. It was cheap is what it was.
Yes. Like, I was complaining at the end of the Crystal Skull episode about the traditionalist bullshit there of them having to finish on this like wedding, but that at least you see them reconnect slowly throughout the film.
Yeah.
This one, she's not even fucking in it, and it is such an unfitting reward at the end of this film. Like,
oh my God,
that there's nothing worse, I think, than unfitting rewards at the end of a film, because it's like it's like, what are you fighting for here? What is Indy fighting for in this movie?
What is the point? What is the point?
Yeah, and he's fighting to get back with Marion, but Marion is barely even mentioned here. She's mentioned. There is one line, right, when he's talking about on the boat how he wishes that his son didn't die. So it's one line that leads to the conclusion and resolution of this film. And man, this is something else that I was thinking about after the second time watching. Imagine someone who hasn't seen a single Indiana Jones movie, and that is, I think, a lot of the target demographic of this movie, because it's for kids. So anyone watching this film under the age of probably 15 that has never seen an Indiana Jones movie before, this scene would make no fucking sense to them.
Oh yeah, they're gonna
be
like,
who is this bitch?
Who is this bitch? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. And also, oh my God, dude. Also, I'm actually. Were you gonna say something? Because I want to quickly bring up something from before.
No, I'm pretty much done with that.
Okay, well, I gotta bring up something. So going into the theater, I was talking to Lawrence about how I was curious to see what they would do with Mutt Williams, because I'm like, I wonder if they're going to mention Shia LaBeouf in this movie. I was thinking they just won't, because everyone hates King of the Crystal Skull. Everyone hates Mutt Williams. So I was thinking maybe this movie was going to pull a Rise of Skywalker, a follow-up to a controversial previous film, a la Last Jedi, where they just completely just retcon all the shit that was controversial and people hated. Not only did they bring up Mutt Williams, but they bring up in a throwaway line that he dies in war. And that could have been, and that could have been a cool scene, like, not a cool scene, that would have been like a very like emotional scene if the film gave us an indication of Indy's grief over his son's death. We don't get any mention of the grief that he feels towards Mutt's death until halfway through the movie in one line, and that's it. We have a bit of grief of his divorce, no mention of the son's death until halfway through the film. It's brought up and then tossed aside, just like Shia LaBeouf's character, because Disney was too much of a fucking coward to follow through on a controversial previous film. They did that with the fucking Star Wars movies. Last Jedi, everyone hated. I'm not a big fan of it, but I appreciate the ambition that it had. And then Rise of Skywalker, they were like, oh, people didn't like it. Let's just forget about it. Let's just give the people what they want. Let's just pander towards the fucking common, the most common denominator, and just not talk about anything that will get audiences riled up. We need to make everyone happy. And sacrifice any kind of nuance or any kind of like bravery in filmmaking to just please audiences. It's fucking ridiculous and honestly really disrespectful. It's making me fucking angry right now. Honestly,
it is the most spoon feeding thing ever, right? It's like, what will be the easiest to digest for this audience, not what can actually be fulfilling.
Yeah, literally, man. Literally. It's fucked.
Dude, excellent point. And it like one fucking line. One line for something too that is so important to Indiana Jones's character is that he needs to be that he like his whole sort of thing that you can probably say about Indiana Jones, the deepest sort of quality of him is that he didn't have a good father figure and is looking to become at least a good one for his child. And they have a tool for that, his son, and then they kill him off in one line.
I know, it's ridiculous.
And they don't even replace him well with like a good surrogate daughter.
Oh my god, no, it's awful. And also like the fact that like there's another shit thing about this movie is that it basically ruins the ending of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like I think Kingdom's ending is really sweet. I really love Kingdom's ending. I love that, you know, Indy gets his happy ending and, you know, like he gets what, like, you know, he was lacking in like the other films. Family. And, you know, the real treasure this whole time was a family that he had but
didn't know about. Like he didn't go looking for that family.
That he was never there for. The family was the real fortune and glory. And then, literally, the opening scene of like current era Indiana Jones, it's just him alone, fucking. What do you call it? They just erase what came before.
They retcon it almost.
Yeah, they retcon it, and it's ridiculous. And like, what the fuck?
Like, also, like, so the end of part 3, right? He's in a pretty good position. Everything has sort of gone resolved there, but there's still more room for maybe him to be happier in his life. Yeah. Which then is what happens at the end of number 4. It's Crystal at the end of Crystal Skull, but then at the end of this one now, at Dial of Destiny, what does he have that he didn't have at the end of Part 4? He has less now. He has even less. He doesn't gain.
It's redundant and less, exactly.
He gets the love back that he had lost, that we didn't see him losing, but now he has less in his life, and he
has a shitty goddaughter, a shitty little kid sidekick. Oh wait, no, Sala's there. You remember Sala being in the movie for like 2 scenes?
Oh yeah. And I love Sala, there, but then
I love Sala too, but he has no business being in the movie though.
Yeah. Oh, and we didn't even mention how ridiculous it is to Marion being there in the first place, because Phoebe Waller Bridge, someone who, Helena, who doesn't even know Marion, somehow like gets into contact with her and then convinces her to get back immediately with no slow build-up with Indy. What? Like, and what is the... Look, who is Helena to make the decision and be like, no, Indy, you are coming back to the real world and you're not going to live your life here, where she only met him, maybe a few weeks before that?
Yeah, probably.
Like, it is so...
it's ridiculous. It's literally just... all logic and reason thrown out the window in that ending scene just for a cheap emotional fucking climax.
Pseudo-emotional. Not even emotional.
Manufactured emotion. Just like the rest of the movie, manufactured.
Yeah.
Manufactured, hollow, corporate fucking nothingness. Corporate slop. Like, they're back together. I don't care. Because in my headcanon, they were already back together. And you reversed it. You undid it. You Disney dickheads. Oh my god.
For I hate this movie so much more that like the more that I think about. First time watching it, I was like, that was a bit of fun. Second time watching it, that was ridiculous. The more that I think about it, I fucking hate it. Especially rewatching. I think that it was rewatching the franchise itself and seeing who Indy is and the capacity for his world and how this is not welcome there and should not be welcome in Indiana Jones's world.
Like this is, oh my lord! Like, dude, I was planning on going. Like, you know, I was intending on rewatching this for the podcast, but it's like. I really didn't see the point, honestly, because I would just get the same thing that I would have gotten the first time I watched it, and which was nothing. Nothing. I'd be paying to basically just glaze my eyes over for 2.5 hours. Also, why is this film so long? It had no business being this fucking long.
The longest Indiana Jones movie. Like, why?
And yet there is no substance.
Yes.
No substance whatsoever. Apart from, like, some cute moments, nothing.
It really, rewatching it, I'm glad that I did, because it did make me, it cemented a few of the it cemented a lot of my opinions and a lot of my thoughts on this film. And my main sort of closing take is that, like, this misses the filmmaking finesse of, I think, all that is in all of the others, including The Crystal Skull. And I think back to what I loved about Raiders, and it has none of this. It doesn't have the directing skill, the grittiness, or the homemade rawness that any of those did. But it did spray water in my face.
That is probably the most memorable part of the film for you. Like, the most positive part I can think of for you.
110%. And I wish that, like, I did get goosebumps, though, both times with the hat at the finale. The final shot of the hat hanging up, and then Harrison Ford grabbing it, and then black screen. And I hate that gives me goosebumps, but it isn't the film that is giving me goosebumps in that moment. It's the symbol of the hat. It's that Indiana Jones is baked into my spine, and I think will never not be. And it is unfortunate that his tale has ended in such a ridiculous manner.
If anything, this film gives me an even greater appreciation for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. While not a perfect movie, it had ambition. It tried. There was passion behind it. This is just another corporate, hollow, Disneyified legacy sequel that will probably be forgotten about in about a year's time.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like a podcast without the arse.